This is the current and future state of our world, and without a foundation of processes, tools, and skill sets, we can't maximize our success, let alone gain a competitive advantage. I work with my clients to develop relevant solutions to break through all the clutter and not only survive these times, but also thrive in them.
Hey everybody, it's Red Taylor here, and I've got a big old favor to ask of you. If you would, go down and subscribe to the YouTube channel, and also please share this episode with someone that you care about. Man, that would mean the absolute world to me. You never know, it could mean the world to them as well. So thanks a million, and please enjoy the show. Welcome back, everybody, to a new episode of the Red Hot Read. And man, have I got a fantastic guest for you today. So buckle in and get ready to spend 45 minutes next hour with us, learning how to become the best version of yourself, whether it's in personal development, in business growth, in scaling and coaching, and all of the above, because our guest today is going to take you to another level. Let me tell you a little bit about this guy. He's a certified professional behavioral analyst, a certified professional values analyst, and none of us know what any of that means, a certified Myers-Briggs practitioner and accredited to coach and train for emotional intelligence. He is a two-time published author, and his new book, Thrive in the Face of Adversity, 300 plus sage insights for facing, overcoming, and learning from life's obstacles, will be out this month in August of 2024. His second book, In Defense of Adversity, Turning Your Toughest Challenges into Your Greatest Success, won Richter's Publishing Amazon bestseller award for 2018. That is phenomenal. He specializes in empowering individuals and organizations in identifying, developing, and exceeding performance goals. And he's had the privilege of coaching and training thousands of high performers across an array of industries, from small businesses on the move to Fortune 500 companies, and he collaborates with all of the leaders of these organizations in between. So welcome our guest today, Steve Gavatorta, to the Red Hot Read. Welcome, Steve.
Thank you, sir. Great intro. I hope I can live up to it. I don't know where to go from there, but couple things. I'm actually a 3-time published author, and Thrive in the Face of Adversity. You can actually order on Amazon now. Probably won't be delivered until like August 20th. But my publisher is called Book Baby, and it is available immediately on Book Baby. So just an FYI. So just a couple of
Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff. And that's one of the things that I love doing on here to with our guest is just getting my audience out there, the Red Hot Read audience, to go out there and tap into our guest, buy the book, find Steve on his socials, and learn about the greatness. Because let me tell you something, this is what we're all in it for today. I told Steve before we came on, y'all, that my goal in this show is to have as positive a conversation that we possibly can, getting to know him, what's made him successful, the good and the bad. We all have it, right? And to be able to add as much value as we possibly can to your life, so that you can take the lessons that we've learned from the good and the bad, apply them, plug them in, and grow to whatever levels that you want to achieve. So let's go into this and tell me and tell our audience, we're not going to go through the 300 sages, but, how do you, face adversity and grow, Steve? Tell us about that.
Yeah, you know what? I think, this was a topic. I'm a former, I still am an athlete, I guess, but I'm a former football player. I played sports my whole life. And I kind of understand the importance of obviously facing, overcoming, and learning from adversity. It was a big thing. And I know, I think as I look back on my life, the greatest lessons I learned was, during those difficult times. Look now, I hope I'm not offending any of your audience, but, the participation trophy is a big thing now. And in my opinion, you're robbing kids of learnings from failure, learnings from not winning. So I think you're not developing them. This was a hot topic for me. Kicked off about 8 years ago. I'm from Pittsburgh originally, a small coal mining town in Western Pennsylvania. And I grew up with every ethnic group around the earth because it was a melting pot because we had steel mills, coal mines, zinc
Right.
mines. Every ethnic group possible went there, not speaking each other's language, let alone English.
Hmm.
So all these families that moved there years ago, all essentially, just about all of them, became hugely successful, coming here with nothing and becoming, or them, they either becoming or their offspring becoming doctors, lawyers, businessmen and women, Division I football coaches, military heroes. It was a really great story to tell. The
Yes.
problem is I'm not a biographer. I wanted to share the story, but I'm not a biographer. So I did move. I sat on it for a while, but I did go interview some people about their family history and all that. And what I uncovered was the common denominator in all these families that came here with nothing and became hugely successful was they all had to face adversity, and they
Hmm.
used that adversity to grow, transform, and evolve into the people they were meant to become. So that
Yeah.
became kind of linchpin of my book, in defense of adversity, meaning adversity is a good thing if you look at it in a good light.
Absolutely. So well stated. And really, we could put a pin in it and just expound on that and talk for the next hour on this topic alone, because I'm in agreement with you 100%. I believe that most of our audience are in agreement with you. And it's our pain. It's, and think about it like this. So often we as parents, I've got my wife and I, we've got 6 children, and we're a blended family, but it's a desire inherently as parents to try to shield your children from pain.
Right.
And I think today, in our culture today, they've taken and they've plugged that into an absolute hyperbaric chamber of
Mhm.
energy, and we've gone absolutely stark mad over the participation trophy,
Yep.
because all today's parents, they don't want little Johnny or little Susie to suffer or
Right.
feel pain of inadequacies. However, what you're saying is absolutely true, man. We have to go through the pain.
Yep. Yep.
The flowers, the blooming, the bushes, the trees, they don't grow on the top of the mountain, do they? They
Nope.
don't grow. That's not where all of the growth is happening. It's down in that valley, right? It's
Yep.
way down in that valley is where you see the growth taking place. All the vegetation, all the flowers, all the
Yep.
shrubbery, all of the trees, all of it blooms down there because that's where the growth is. And
That's right.
so, talk to us a little bit today about changing. How do we change that cycle a little bit?
Yeah.
How do we begin to grasp a positive receptor towards adverse scenarios in our life?
Yeah, and it's a great question. And I don't. The answer isn't you got to toughen up. You got to be strong. It's that. I mean, that's part of it in a way. But I'm gonna hit something even more important home. There's brain science to back the standing on adversity, needing to face it and overcome it, or even Mother Nature, which let's put that in the back burner. You were alluding to that. Let's put that in the back burner for now. But the way our brain functions, um, we need to learn how to. Let's go backwards. Part of my one of my recent hobbies is a kickboxing art called Muay Thai. Have you ever heard of that?
I've heard of it, but I don't know a whole lot about it.
Yeah, I'm not going to dig too much. It's Thai kickboxing. It's huge now. I took it up about 12 years ago. My first
Cool.
coach was a gentleman named Eric Parker. Interesting cat. He was a former Marine, former police, Indianapolis police officer, SWAT team leader,
Wow.
canine handler. He was a certified
Solid.
technician. Yeah, he was the guy that trained the SWAT team on how to do all the things they did.
He's a
He was
dude.
also,
He's a
yeah,
certified dude.
he is. Well, even
Yeah.
more, he was a 13-0 amateur kickboxer, and now he's a private banker for Morgan Stanley. But he's a very interesting guy, and he taught me how the two important parts of the brain and the importance of knowing those two parts of the brain so you can function under adversity. And I'm going to go through those a bit. There's two parts of the brain, the limbic system and the cortex. The limbic system is what we're born with. It's known as our emotional brain. It
Mm-hmm.
does not grow, transform, and evolve through time and experience. When we're functioning in the limbic system, our response is going to be emotional: freeze, fight, or flight. That was good when we were babies. We were hungry, we cried. Or when we were cavemen or women, a
Yes.
dinosaur came, we knew to run. But
Right.
that's not where you want to be when you're trying to solve a problem, when you're facing
Mm-hmm.
adversity. The other part of the brain is our cortex. That does grow, transform, and evolve through time, through education, through training and development. That's why I love it. That's why I love what I do. Through
Mm-hmm.
learning of experiences, both good and bad. The cortex is known as our rational brain. So
Right.
when adversity strikes, we want to function in our rational brain. That's where reason and logic lie. That's where we can draw lessons from experiences.
Mm-hmm.
So in the education system, reading, writing, arithmetic is building our cortex muscle. What I do, training and development, is building your cortex muscle: how to sell, how to become a good leader, how to deal with a customer objection. If you're not trained on those things when they happen in a workplace, there's a good chance you're going to fall into freeze, fight, or flight, which
Break
is
down.
not where you want to be. Right? You don't want to be there. When you're emotional,
Yep.
you can't see things clearly. You may say the wrong thing. You're not going to be able to think creatively. You're not going to be able to problem solve. So you don't want to be there. And my whole point, going back to the participation trophy, is this: when you're not allowing someone to fail, you're not allowing them to build their cortex muscle. I don't know what it took to win, or I don't know why I failed. What do I need to do better next time? And
Mm-hmm.
that's going to bode well for you if you learn these things young, because when you get older, you're interviewing for your first job. There's one opening. You're on the final three people to be selected. There's only 33% chance you're going to get that job. So you better be ready to hear no, and learn what you could have done better for the next time. Life experiences. That's why I say in defense of adversity. Adversity is meant to teach us lessons, to help us grow, transform, and evolve into the people we're meant to become. And one last thing, very much what you were saying about Mother Nature, I forget the quote exactly, but a piece of coal, a diamond becomes a diamond. It's originally a piece of coal. It doesn't become a diamond until it goes through years and years of pressure, friction. That is a great metaphor for,
Adversity. Yeah.
adversity. And there's millions of
Hey everybody, Red Taylor here, and I wanted to remind you that if at any time you're interested in shopping your health insurance or life insurance rates, my team of experts work for my viewers for free. So reach out to us, click the link in the description at redtailorinsurance.com, and we'll go to work. We'll see if we can save you a ton of money and upgrade your benefits. If we can't, we're going to tell you, hey, stay right where you are. What you have is working, and we're happy for you. If things ever change, let us know. So reach out. We're happy to help. Enjoy the show.
iron
Yeah.
sharpens iron, or all these things. There's a million of them. So I'm a firm believer. It's not just you need to toughen up. There is brain science that validates the importance to face obstacles and learn from them to ultimately become the person you're meant to become.
Yeah, absolutely. Great stuff. And let's kind of transition this into what you're really great at, and that's in the business world, because I feel like our audience is we have a lot of entrepreneurs where a lot of folks that desire to go and attain high levels in business. And
Mhm.
with your expertise in business coaching and business leadership and sales training, let's talk about a couple of the important topics and elements that it takes to be successful in
Mhm.
business these days. So for guys that are in the small business space, I'm a small business owner for the last 25 years. I'm just really an entrepreneur at heart. And when we talk about adversity, it's my best friend. Okay, I have seen it, lived it, loved
Good.
it, stared it in the eyes, and tasted it, and all the above, and spit it all the way out, and just ran past it. So And I've obviously ran from it before as well, like everyone else. So
Likewise.
talk about in the business world. Let's just start specifically small business. How do small business owners today, entrepreneurs, use the leverage that they can gain from overcoming adversity to excel?
Yeah, I think the number one thing is, that, especially for an entrepreneur, a small business owner, is to either invest in a consultant like me to build a structure for training and development, and or hire someone like me and or you as a coach for them. I'm not saying this simply because it's my business. Going back to that that cortex thing going on.
Well, let me put a pin in it right there. Even
Yeah,
even so, okay. I think that we get a bad rap of plugging ourselves on these shows, right?
yeah,
But let's face it. If you didn't have success in doing this as a professional, you wouldn't be on my show. And
right.
so, in saying that someone has an advantage by hiring someone like yourself or someone like me, yeah, we're plugging. It's a bit of an advertisement, but it's the truth, right?
It
So I
is.
didn't. I
It
didn't.
is.
I just wanted you to know that it's okay to say that here, and I
Yeah.
think for our audience, it's okay for you to receive that as advice, as
Yeah.
mentor, as a bit of free mentorship today. So go ahead.
Let's go backwards a little bit. The driver for that for me. I've owned my business for 20 years. Prior to that, I spent 21 years in corporate America, primarily with companies that sold consumer packaged goods to food, drug, and mass merchandisers. So I used to sell toothpaste, Kodak film, cough and cold items, things of that nature. I was fortunate enough to have unbelievable training from these companies. I
Mm,
was trained on how to sell, how to handle objections. I was trained on how to be a good leader, how to manage people, how to analyze data and numbers. So I had those skills embedded in me for 20 years. When I left this, one reason I left to start my business was I thought a lot of companies, bigger companies, let alone entrepreneurs and small business people, have forgotten fundamentals for success in a given job or a given business. And that's why I walked cold turkey to start this business, is because so many people needed these structural foundational elements to be successful. So big companies aren't investing in this anymore, let alone an entrepreneur typically and a small business owner. So they don't know necessarily the structure for success from a perspective of people development, leadership skills, leading others, management, sales process. These are foundational things that are imperative for success and that I bring to these companies: structure, skill sets, a foundation for success. I just did work with, I guess, for lack of better words, it would be a developer company. And they're small, they're growing like crazy, but they sense a need. And the leaders said to me, Steve, we want to be cautious. We know we need to give them a foundation because we're growing so fast. If we don't have a foundation of skills and skill sets, we're going to get in trouble as we get bigger.
mm,
However, we don't want to be too corporate. And I'm like, I get that. That's not what I don't want that either. But there
yeah.
are structural things you need to be successful. And that
Yep.
all ties back to that cortex and limbic system. If I'm not used to hearing a customer objection, I don't know how to handle that. I'm going to fall into that limbic system state and be in a freeze, fight, or flight because I'm not trained on how to do that. Those are things I can bring to the table, or someone like you, to an entrepreneur, a small business, to give them
Yep.
skills and structure. And if it's simply a coaching dynamic, just eyes and ears to bounce ideas off of. You
Right.
can't do
Right.
these things alone oftentimes. Be willing to reach out and invest in some training, invest in a coach. Before I left, my last job was Kodak. Before I left them, they didn't know I was leaving. I hired my own personal coach. I got certified in a multitude of assessments. I took night classes for coaching skills, like a coaching degree or whatever. I paid for that out of my pocket.
Yeah.
Kodak didn't pay for that.
Yeah.
It was an investment I made in myself. I knew I had to make in order for me to walk cold turkey from a corporate career and safety in many ways.
Yeah, yeah. So you did the work and you made the investment in yourself. And, that's one of the things that I think a lot of folks are missing today is just the ability and the courage to invest in themselves and believe in themselves. I believe it was Hamilton or James Madison that said that courage is the principle by which all others stand. And so that's what we see for so many folks that are working in these jobs that are just stealing their joy and fulfillment in life.
Hmm.
And let's talk about that realm and that arena now specifically. And I want to go back to leadership because I know you mentioned it a couple of times. There are some points that I'd really like to make on that and have your insight on. But as far as the everyman and the every woman who's working a corporate job now that want to climb that corporate ladder, that want to get recognized, that want to get recognition, but they continue to face adverse
Hmm.
situations, whether it be in performance or relationships within their corporation. What advice would you give them to make a switch and be able to exceed their current level and scale?
Yeah, I would go again two routes. Find a mentor either in the organization who can help you with those dynamics. If they know what your shortcomings are, help find that mentor to help you, or many more than one mentors. And again,
Yes.
invest on someone external, because there's oftentimes maybe it's an internal dynamic it's creating a problem. You can't find that internal mentor. Again, invest in a coach, invest in someone outside. Go take a class that's relevant to the competency you need to build: leadership, management, sales, whatever that might be. um, Again, there's two parts of that. One will be skill development, the other part will be someone's eyes looking inward. Not they'll get out of this, I can't see beyond my hand.
Yeah.
Have a professional see things from the outside in that can help guide that person as well too. So some companies will pay for a coach or a mentor. Find someone internal that you can use, or pay out of your pocket, man. If you want something enough, you'll pay that money. Unfortunately, I found a lot of people don't want to pay that money out of their pocket, which is a shame, because that short-term investment, the long-term gain from that is fantastic.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, you have to be willing to invest in yourself. I've heard it stated, and I tell my guys all the time, everybody wants to invest in the S&P 500, but nobody wants to invest in the S and me. My whole career, I've invested in the S and me, and it's taken courage, but today I wouldn't do it any other way. I'd never look back. The mentorship, I heard Dan Martell, I believe, on a podcast. He's phenomenal. And he and I we share a lot of the same beliefs. He's highly successful businessman and just an entrepreneur and content creator. But, I think that mentorship is so important simply because, like you said, we get another set of eyeballs, another set of ears, another set of perspectives that are outside of ours. Sometimes we can't see outside of our world. We're in the
That's right.
storm. We're grinding. We're all into it, whether good, bad, different, all the emotional
That's right.
things. And so if you have another adequate and skilled person that's willing to speak into your life, whether you have to pay them or not. And listen, not to take anything away from you or me, but guys, uh, mentors are all around you. Okay. They're not just the
Yep.
coaches that do it for life, but there's a banker or there's a businessman that may not be in
That's right.
your company that we know of, but you can find them on Insta or Facebook or something. Get in there and shoot them a direct message and say, hey, listen, I've seen some of the stuff that you've been posting. I've seen some of your work
Hmm.
and I think you're extraordinary. And I'd love to be able to get some advice from you. Would you have 5 minutes sometime? And if they respond to you, get them on the phone, get on their calendar. Okay. And don't give them the little stuff. Give them the big stuff. I promise you, Steve, you like unpacking the big problems, right?
Hmm.
Guys like us, we want to unpack, we want to dive into the big stuff and see if we can use our experience and our skills to find solutions in big problems, right?
That's right.
That's where you've hit the jackpot because care about a little problem. You're gonna look at a guy like, man, you know the answer to that, right?
Right,
Come on, you
right.
got common sense. You're a smart guy. You can figure that stuff out. Okay. Um, let's go a little bit to leadership. A lot of your material seems to be focused on leadership as well. What do you feel like are the best elements of leadership today, and how does one get themselves in a position to become a better leader?
Yeah, I'm going to go back to my rational thinking cortex brain. I think, a couple things. One of my biggest clients throughout their, it's a big, well, I'll say it, Stanley Black and Decker. They use the acronym VUCA throughout the organization. They're basically saying the days we're in now, it's filled with volatility. That's an acronym, VUCA,
Yeah.
volatility, uncertainty, change, and ambiguity. I think it is. Yeah, change, uncertainty, and ambiguity. I say in my tagline, I've been saying it for years, we're in a fast paced, high tech, ever evolving world. Change is hitting us faster than ever. Adversity striking us deeper. The speed at which we make decisions is getting shorter and shorter. This is a new way of the world.
Yeah.
Also, add how many generations are in the workplace now, probably four, and they all don't see things the same way. So, so this is throw in COVID a few years ago. It's times full of adversity. I think the most important critical attribute a leader can have is being a rational thinker, being able to see things clearly in spite of adversity. Because if I don't see things clearly, I'm not going to be able to solve a problem. I'm not going to be able to think creatively. I may say the wrong things. Hand in hand with that is high emotional intelligence. Have you heard? I'm sure you've heard
Mm,
of EQ before. I'm certified in
yes.
EQ, and EQ, the area I focus on, has three parts: intrapersonal skills, interpersonal skills, and situational awareness. So what I do, I work with my clients to build their EQ. Intrapersonal skills, understand themselves, how they behave, how they communicate, how they make decisions, how they're motivated, how they deal with change, risk, and conflict, and how they deal with adversity. Because the more I can understand these attributes in myself, the more I'm going to be able to function rationally and at the top of my game. So if I'm susceptible to getting frustrated with if there's a change initiative in the company and I'm not aware of that, I could throw myself into the emotional state. But if I know, I'm not a big change agent and change is coming up real soon, I can deal with it rationally. The second part is interpersonal skills, understanding those same behavioral dynamics in the people with whom you engage with, the people I'm
Hmm.
managing, cross functional teams, my customers. So, how do they make decisions? How do they behave? How do they communicate? How do they deal with change, risk, and conflict? How are they motivated? Because if I can understand those attributes in those people, I can better lead them because not all of us are the same.
Right.
Football coach Vince Lombardi said the key to his success was he knew how to lead and communicate with 40 different men 40 different ways. So, he knew the hot buttons to push on certain players, how to motivate them, what would demotivate them. So he was a chameleon in many ways. So it's intrapersonal skills, interpersonal skills. And the last one is situational awareness. That's basically how do I operate and my team operate every day, but especially during adverse times.
Mm,
Who might panic, who might look at this as an opportunity, who might suffer from analysis paralysis, who may be overly aggressive, and how are these guys and gals going to function in this adversity? So becoming a rational thinker, raising your emotional intelligence are the key components I focus on in leadership development, and I essentially stated the reasons why.
yeah, yeah, that's so good. That's so good. Wait, I appreciate you unpacking that, and that kind of brings me to back to what I've learned from John Maxwell, who I believe is the goat. I mean,
Yeah,
he's the greatest leadership teacher on the planet
agree.
and maybe in the history of humankind. He's The guy's like 77 years old right now. He's written like 86 books. He's
Yeah, yeah.
probably spoken over 13,000 times.
Oh
And,
yeah.
he said something recently that just hit me right in the gut in that, in leadership, and I've got so much to learn and so far to go. Authenticity, being willing to be authentic and being willing to be vulnerable as a leader may be one of the most important and overlooked skill sets there are. He kind of related it to a scenario where a lot of times in leadership, my team here, or your team, you don't want them to see your faults. Okay. You don't want to, to admit your downfalls and your weaknesses. But in reality, they already know. They already
Yeah.
know.
Oh, no
If
doubt,
and if
no
we
doubt.
don't if we don't believe that and we don't recognize that, then we're kidding ourselves. We're fooling ourselves, and we're kind of, we're smoke and mirroring the whole thing. I had a scenario here very, very recently where I got some news about one of my team members, and it caught me really off guard, and I probably reacted a little more aggressively than I should have initially. And really the aggressive nature was that I wanted all the info, like, give me the data. I need the data. I need it now. Give it to me. Okay. And it was a scenario where, hey man, if, if this data is right, I'm probably going to have a problem with this situation,
Yeah.
and once I got the information in, and the guy and we sat down and talked, he's like, he was like, hey, the way you the way you kind of handled that, it really made me feel in a certain scenario. And at that point in time, I had an opportunity to say, hey buddy, I don't really care how you feel in that time. It was me. I'm running the business, and that's what I got to look out to. But thankfully, it was almost like, I was prepared for that scenario. I'm like, hey bro, I messed it up. I got it wrong. I was caught
Yeah.
off guard.
Yeah.
And I probably didn't react in a way that benefited our relationship. I was thinking just about the company, and I was just thinking about, I need all the data so I can make a decision now. Now.
Yep.
I believe that one of the key elements to being more successful in life is called urgency. Okay. I'm an
Mhm.
urgent guy. I always feel like I'm behind. I always want to make decisions now. I always want to progress now. And so the time between getting an idea or getting, solution, and the time of getting it activated, I believe that is key into success in life. And so sometimes though, that's going to be a debilitating scenario because you have people and you have relationships and you have
Right.
emotions. And as leaders, nobody wants a perfect leader. Nobody wants a guy that thinks he's perfect, okay?
Right. Right.
Because that guy's not a leader, right? Because he can't relate to his people. And so in order to be authentic, in order to really to be as effective as I think that we really need to on a very, very big scale, we have to be willing to be vulnerable in some scenarios. Um,
Yeah, I think
and I
a lot of times they call it servant leadership. I think that
yeah.
ties into that, right? Look at see yourself as a servant and whatnot. That kind of takes that edge away. And you look at great leaders; most of them have that philosophy. So I agree with you.
Yeah. Point. I'll give you a point in case. I was a football player, as a high school football player, played at a really big school, and we were in a tough game in playoffs one night with a really, really tough opponent, and uh, you know we we called a play, and my coach sent in for me to run it a different way, a way that wasn't supposed to be ran, and I'm like, we're fixing to get beat if we do that. Well, next thing you know, they called a timeout, and I go over there. I talk to coach. I say, "You sure you want to run it this way? Yeah, you got it. You can beat that guy. No problem. I know it's going to work. Just do it." Okay. Well, lo and behold, it didn't execute, and we ended up losing the game. And me and this coach, we didn't have a great relationship.
Yeah.
I was a 3-year
Right.
starter. We didn't have a great relationship, and I'll never forget at the end of the game. He got up and he said his spiel, and he says, "Guys, I want to let y'all know something. I changed that. I changed the way we were going to run that play, and I told Red to run at that, and we missed it, and that wasn't on him. That was on me.
Yeah.
And dude, I'm telling you, at that moment, I would have ran through an absolute brick
Yeah.
wall for that guy. And at
Yeah.
almost 52 years old, and all the relationships, all the coaches that I've had, I remember that moment because he was authentic
Yeah.
and he
Yeah.
was vulnerable in front of everybody. Say, look, I got it wrong. I screwed it up.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, uh, yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I always say trust is the most foundational element of any successful relationship, whether it's a business relationship, a marital relationship, spousal, friends, or whatever. So if you don't have that trust, there's no foundation. So to your point, I think being that vulnerable willingness to make a mistake builds that trust bond, right? If the coach would have, blamed it on you or said, whatever, that trust would have been maybe not broken, but harmed significantly. That coach gave an opportunity there to, enhance a bond of trust there. And I think that was a good thing. That's why you're still talking about it today. That's why you
Yeah.
still remember today, right? So
Yeah,
I
yeah, and
think
all
that's
the
key.
and the entire team noticed it. Everybody
Yep.
noticed it. It elevated everybody's level of trust in him as the leader at that time. Let's go back to business and entrepreneurship, because one of the things that I feel like needs to be discussed more is how does the everyman, I call it everyman, um, that's in the grind. They're going to work. They're working a job that they don't really like. They're not receiving joy and fulfillment. They're not making an impact in the manner that we are. And I believe that if all of us, if we're really conscious about it and we're trying to grow, that making an impact on this world that we live in is at the core of that. Because if we're not helping others, if we're not serving in a way, really, what are we doing? So how do people that are caught in that scenario on the rat race, on the Ferris wheel, how do they make a transition towards entrepreneurship, towards starting their own business, and becoming the person that they see themselves in their vision of living a life that really is more joyful and fulfilling?
Yeah, again, I would go back to falling on a mentor, hiring a coach, taking classes. Do anything you can do to find out what makes you tick, what brings you pure joy. Because I tell people I do not work anymore. And I don't mean that flippantly. I love what I do. I get energy from it. Every morning I wake up, I go through whatever affirmations or prayers. Run my professional life, I say I think every day I have two things. I have alignment and I have freedom. I'm
Mm,
aligned to what I love to do and what I firmly believe I was meant to do, and I have
yes.
freedom to pursue other things that I truly love. I remember when I was thinking of leaving corporate America, I would call one of my friends' fathers, and he was a successful entrepreneur, and I'd say, Mr. Tepper, what are you doing today? He said, doing what I want to do when I want to do it. And I'm like, God, I want to say that someday,
Yeah.
But
Yes.
but you have to, you know, I at least knew what I wanted to do. Some people don't know that. And I think they've got to invest in time to really uncover what that is, find out what makes them tick. What do they want to do? What do they love? And be willing to work towards that and maybe invest in that. Take a class or find a coach, again, some external person looking in that can guide that person to what they want to do. I was in the wheelhouse, training and development. I was in the wheelhouse. I mean, I experienced that in the corporate world. I just wanted to walk from the corporate world and do it on my
You
own.
did. You did. You took
Yeah,
the step. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it wasn't a mystery to me. What do I want to do when I grow up? It was more, how do I walk away and do this thing on my own? So my version or someone else's version who isn't quite sure, I think both have the same answers. Hire someone to find out, but someone who's seeing things externally in that can guide you. There are different coaches with different expertise, and use those coaches with a specific expertise to help narrow that scope down. When I say hire a coach or a mentor, I mean I've used various people throughout the years. I didn't use just
Mm,
one coach my whole life.
sure.
When I always had at least one mentor that I always relied on and still do, and I've had others that I rely on for different scenarios. I hired a coach to help me understand what it would take to leave corporate America. Once that was on the way, I hired another coach to do that. Through the years, there's been other instances, whether it's publishing a book or other things, I've hired someone, an expert in that arena, who could guide me. So I'm willing to put skin in a game. If you want something bad enough, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You got to put skin in the game. You've got to
Yeah. Yeah.
investigate and take those steps. Those steps are freeing. Once when I worked my job at Kodak all day. I took classes at night. My coach worked with my coach at night. Became certified in assessments at night. They were long days, but that feeling, putting skin in the game, motivated me. Number one. Number two,
Sure.
it felt good. I was taking steps to the affirmative of what I wanted to do, and it was freeing to me. So action, I guess, would be the overarching word. You need to take action and find people who can support you in either finding what that is or getting you kickstarted to leave your gig and jump into that. I hope that all made sense. That was kind of
Yeah,
long.
yeah, no, that's so much good stuff there. There's like 3, 4 different points that I wanted to talk about on that and expound upon. But one of the things that you mentioned was that, the affirmations. I'm a firm believer in affirmations. A lot of people will say, well, that none of that stuff makes any difference. But listen, if you don't realize that there are energy currencies that are flowing in your life and in your world, even though I'm a man of faith and I'm a believer,
Likewise.
there absolutely there are energies and there are frequencies that are in this world, and we get what we give. Okay, if you want to be the type of person that helps other people to if you want to be the type of person that gets rich, then go help a bunch of other people get rich.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
If you want to be the best, most physically fit person in the world, then go help other people get physically fit. If you want to have the best marriage in the world, which I think is a lost
No doubt.
realm of importance in our life and in our culture and in our society, as the focus and the goal setting and the prioritizing of a good marriage and a great relationship, then go help other people have a great marriage. Because I'm just telling you right now, you get what you give in this life, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. My goal is to scale a business to $100+ million dollar company, but the only reason I want to do that is because I want to help a lot of other people really be successful. I really do. I mean, that's my goal. I'm thankful that I don't need it now, and it's not a me thing. So I want to help other people have great marriages because God's blessed me with a wonderful wife and a great marriage. So
well, you're
those are
aligned.
things
You're
that are
aligned,
important.
right? You're aligned to what you truly
Yes.
want to do, and so you
Yes.
don't work anymore. I don't mean it literally, but figuratively.
No,
You
great
love what you
point.
do. Yeah, you love
Yes,
what you
yes.
do.
So that's another point. So I hear people all the time talk about retirement, and I want you to talk about it. I think retirement's the stupidest, most ridiculous term that I've ever heard. I don't understand it. I don't see retire. What am I going to do? Retire from being myself? Are you going to retire from being Steve? I don't want to retire from being Red Taylor. I love what I do. I get to do what I do every day. I enjoy it. Okay. And so for people that are living their life for the weekend and looking towards retirement, why do you want to wait until you're 65, 70 years old to live the best version of yourself?
No doubt. No doubt. I was at a golf outing with a lot of my fraternity brothers and kind of the football, like as a fundraiser for my college football team. And a lot of the discussion around the table was, just 5 more years or just 8 more years. It was depressing. I didn't say anything. I'm like, oh my God. And I feel so lucky that I don't think that way. I'm dealing with one of my best friends now. He's a type A personality. He's already stressing over, he wants to quit what he's doing, but doesn't know what he wants to do afterwards. And he's always going to be busy. And I'm like, that's number one. You don't always have to be busy, dude. Just enjoy or find hobbies. Every time I tell him this hobby or why don't you try that? No. He's got a little road ahead of him because he needs to really find out what that is. But I'd say find those things out earlier in life. So when the end of a career comes, you know what you're going to roll into, or that, hey, this career's what I want the rest of my life, or maybe I'll pop into this career or do volunteer work, whatever that is, but keep active.
Yeah, absolutely. What I think Tim Tebow may have the best philosophy on that I've ever really studied an awful lot. He said, when you're feeling depressed, go help others. When you're feeling anxiety, go help others. When you're
No
feeling
doubt.
confused, go help others. If you feel stuck, go help others. If you're in fear, go help
No
others. Go
doubt.
serve. When you become in service of others, there is a clarity and a truth and a pathway that just energetically and
No doubt.
synergistically appears in your life. Okay. And you find whatever that it is that you're looking for. But we're all just me. We're built that
Yeah.
way, right? I mean, we
Yeah.
are. I
Yeah.
mean, that's
Yeah.
our mind. It's me
Yeah.
focused, it's
Yeah.
self-centered, selfish, and short-sighted. So go ahead. I know you had a point on that.
No,
Go
no.
ahead.
I was going to say, when I say I'm aligned and I have freedom, let's stick with alignment. I very much what you were
Beautiful.
saying. I do what I do to help people. I mean, I know
Yes,
what bad training was like. I know what and what good training is, and I know what good training can do to someone's life if they're trained, if they have fundamental skills to be successful in a given endeavor. So I want to help those people. But to your point, when I do a workshop, it is God inspired. I don't mean that goofy. I just am on a
love it.
roll. And to your point, I get energized. Stories or anecdotes from my past or something I heard will come out of nowhere that is perfectly fit for a given moment.
Yes.
And I did a like 3-day workshop last week, and several of the guys said, "Man, you kept that energy level up, man. It's a long 3 days, but your energy level, helped out a lot." And it wasn't on purpose. It was because I'm aligned. I love what I do. I was helping people, and everything was coming natural. I'm in the zone, so to speak. Sometimes,
Absolutely.
me being in a zone, funny stories happen where I'm oblivious to something else that kind of makes fun, but I'll make light of it. But that alignment, doing what you love, it should be seamless. And it should be energizing too. Workshops, I love workshops. They can be very draining at the end, but it's ultimately quite energizing to do. And I think that's why it's draining on the end, because I give all my whole all during a
Yeah, you're
workshop
pouring
or an
everything in. You're
engagement.
pouring everything you got. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
that's what I love is that
Nothing, nothing like it.
you're a guy that's got energy and you've got an awful lot to give, and when it's your time, you're pouring everything you have, and so
Yeah,
sure it's going to drain you in your energy. And the one thing that you said there, and I love it, alignment and purpose, and I think that we don't have to be shy to say that something is divine, that we're being given, power and idea and opportunity and purpose and
right.
alignment through the Almighty. Look, man, think about it. Okay, the reason that we're able to talk here, everything that we have around us, okay, this pen, this microphone, the shirt, everything that we're doing right now simply began as a thought. Okay,
Yep, you got it.
all creation began as a thought.
That's right.
Okay, yeah, and so where do those thoughts come from? Okay, you're riding down the road and you think of something and you go, boom, oh yeah, I need to do it. You didn't have that thought in your mind
Right,
before. God gave you
right,
that thought. Okay,
right. No
so
doubt.
it wasn't
No
yours
doubt.
to begin with. You didn't have it. That's why it's
Yep,
new, and that's why you were like, oh, okay, yeah. God,
yep.
who do you think gave that thought to you? Yeah,
That's right.
God gave
That's
it to
right.
you, the Creator,
That's
the
right.
Almighty. Okay, and
That's
so
right.
for us to deny that and say that it just appeared, come on, we didn't have it
Yeah,
before. So where did it come from? Okay.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so that's the cool thing about it is that when we align with our creator, when we align with our purpose and we seek that freedom, dude, it's amazing what this life can become, and retirement becomes the most ridiculous idea. Yeah. Hey, Steve, you ever known a farmer that retired from farming?
No, no.
Oh, they farm till the day they die. They
Yeah,
bury them out
yeah,
there under the sycamore tree,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know? So that's who that person is.
That's right. That's right.
I'm
No,
never going
no.
to retire from being Red Taylor.
I'm definitely doing what the big guy meant me to do on Earth. I have no, and that's why when I say aligned, that's what I mean. Aligned is
Yes.
multiple things. I'm doing what I love. I'm doing what I know I should be doing. I'm doing what I think the big guy upstairs meant me to do on Earth, because I believe the Spirit is working through me when I do these things. To your point,
Yeah.
this anecdote or this story of something that happened 30 years ago that would be perfect now. To your point, where in the hell does that come from, right? So
Right.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah, yeah. Couple of things that I have touched. I'm on to switch gears because I've got some things I've heard you talk about in the past. Doing my research on that I thought was quite interesting. That you had some great insight on. Let's talk about discipline. How does personal discipline, help folks to be more successful? Where does that fall in line?
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're talking entrepreneurial and small business world, it's massive because you have to. You're not in most instances. Someone else isn't telling what you need to do when you need to do it. You have to do that. So if majority of our audience are small business owners or entrepreneurs or desire to be, that's imperative. I remember one of the strangest things that I felt when I left corporate America was, what am I going to do today? What's the first thing to do? It's very odd because I spent 22, 21 years in corporate America, where I had a schedule. I knew what I was doing. And when I walked from corporate America, I knew a lot of things had to be done, but which one's first? Which one do I need to do first? So I think if you truly desire what you want to do, you've got to be disciplined to do that, especially with no one telling you to do that. So I mean, I don't know how deep you want to go into that, but it is. I'm just going to say it is hugely important. If you again are aligned to do what you were meant to do and what you love, I believe the discipline comes a lot easier.
Yeah.
And some people listen. Some people are motivated by money, and that discipline to make money, that desire to make money is the discipline.
And that's okay.
Yeah, that's exactly. And so the bottom line is you cannot start a business. You cannot be a successful leader. You can't be a successful salesperson if you are not disciplined, especially in the technological age now, right? I mean, people, used to be, if you want to go make sales calls, you've got to do that. You can't act like you're doing it or use technology to get through it easier. You've got to literally do those things. So again, I think discipline is massive, especially for an entrepreneur, small business owner. Anyone successful, let's face it, they're disciplined. You can't be a kickboxer and not be disciplined. You
exactly.
Can't.
Exactly. And it's true in so many facets of your life, really all the meaningful areas of our life. Nick Saban defined discipline. I heard him define discipline. I think that we can all pretty much, like him or not, I think everybody kind of agree that he's the greatest college football coach in the history of the game. But he defined discipline as doing what you don't want to do when you're supposed to do it, how it's supposed to be done, and with who it's supposed to be done in order to achieve the goals that are in front of you. Okay. And I believe, and this is something that I've grown to learn, is that discipline is I'm telling you, it may be the most important factor in attaining success and joy and fulfillment and impact in our entire lives. Think about it. We are all of the goals, all of the dreams, all of the happiness and the fulfillment of our life's journey is just on the other side of all the hard stuff that we're putting off and avoiding doing. Okay. Whether it be your physical fitness, whether it be getting up and going to the gym, 3-4 days a week that you keep telling yourself that you need to do, but you don't do it. Whether it be eating a cleaner diet, but that you keep telling yourself that you need to do, but you don't do it. My perspective on that is, if we're telling ourselves, we're making these little small promises to ourselves, these little small suggestions, and we're not doing it, we're killing our confidence. We're killing our self-image. We're killing our self-worth.
You're hypocritical to yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's your purse. That's your person. You are your person. And so in conversely, when you do keep those small promises to yourself and you do the hard things, man, now you've got a pride. You've got a sense of achievement. Like you said, when you do the hard work, you feel good about it. You feel prideful. You feel confident. You gain the confidence that you need to have the courage that it's going to take and the resilience that it's going to take to overcome and face that adversity that is waiting for you. Is the adversity going to be there for you right around the corner?
Yep.
All the time.
Always. It's always there.
Always.
what you're saying. Go back to that participation trophy thing. If I'm not learning a lesson, maybe my reason I didn't win was discipline. The how
Yeah.
if I want that win, if I want to know what it took to win, if I don't want to lose again, I'm going to have the discipline to find out what the heck the reason why and work towards that. So again, this whole participation trophy thing, I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to go as far to say. Well, I
Well, it
will
doesn't
say
work in the real world.
it's evil in my opinion because
Yeah,
you're
it doesn't
robbing
work.
someone. No, your
Yeah.
life is going to hit you square in the face sometime, and if you are not prepared to deal with it, if you're having temper tantrums, if you're running away from it, you are not going to live a fulfilling and fulfilled life. Period. End of story. So.
Setting these kids up for failure. You're giving them a false sense of accomplishment that really they're able to accomplish a goal without putting in any of the work or sacrifice that is needed and required to do that in the real world.
That's right. That's right. First year I ever played little league football. Our team won the championship. I was a little guy. I only played 2 plays the whole year. I went to every practice. My dad wasn't like, "You're not playing. You're not going to." I went to every practice. Only went in 2 plays the entire year. We won the championship. I was embarrassed to get a trophy.
Yeah.
I was, even though I went,
Yeah.
at least, I was at practice. I deserved it,
Right. Right.
being on that when we're scrimmaging. There's, you got to go through guys like me during a scrimmage. So I may not have played a lot of the games, but I was there every practice. I was a team member, but I felt embarrassed because I didn't participate in the games. I didn't feel I deserved that. So I don't know how people can get awards without deserving them. It doesn't make sense. And again, I think it's harmful in the long term.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I agree with you 100%. So listen, man, I think we could carry this conversation on for a long time today. It's obvious that we're both aligned in our belief systems. And I think we truly both really want to help people. If they want to find you, where do they learn more and read up and plug into Steve Gavatorta?
Yeah, just Google me. There's a ton of content out there. You can visit my website. You can purchase my books. There's a lot of podcasts I'm on. I'm on TV. My YouTube site is actually, I want to say I have, a bunch of YouTube videos of self-help, personal help, leadership, sales-oriented things up there. Go peruse my YouTube site. There's a lot of good content up there as well. And hey, if they're a guest of yours, shoot me an email and I'll be happy to respond and give an answer. So yeah, best thing is Google me. Or you'll find a ton. Anything you want to find about me is up there. And thank God I've never been arrested because I'm not on any
We don't want the
sites
mug.
like that.
We don't want the mugshot coming up.
Mugshot.com. So none of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, but feel
Good
free to
stuff.
Google me. You'll find my website. You'll find my books. You'll find good content as well too. So.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Now, one last question. I always do this, and I really, really enjoy this because I get to talk to so many brilliant people and learn so much from you. But the good thing is that our audience gets to learn from you, and I want to put you on the spot. If you had to give one piece of advice to the younger generation, back to your 20-year-old self, your 25-year-old self, Steve, what would that one most valuable piece of advice be?
Life is not fair. Get used to it. Life is not fair. Things don't happen the way you always want them. You better get used to that or life's going to be very difficult. It's as simple as that. Things aren't going to happen your way. And if you don't know how, it ties to that adversity. It ties to that participation trophy, right? I mean, life's not fair. What are you going to do about it?
That's so well stated. I'll expound upon that and I'll say this, that everything is my fault. If you will write that on your mirror, okay? Because if you succeed and you win at life, if you get to accept all of the trophies and the rewards for that, then when you lose and when you suffer losses and setbacks, then that needs to be you need to accept that as well. Absolutely. Because nothing's fair.
Doubt.
And at the end of the day, whether you win or lose, it all rests on your shoulders. So really, really great advice. And I can tell we're in alignment on that. So listen, man, thanks so much for being on the Red Hot Read. Hopefully you'll come back and we can do it again someday.
Anytime, my friend. Anytime.